We have breaking news from the Florida Panthers organization, and we have ourselves a coaching change. Andrew Brunette is out, Paul Maurice is in. We'll discuss this scenario coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have some pretty surprising and breaking news from the Florida Panthers organization. I guess it really shouldn't be too shocking considering the fact that we were aware that the Florida Panthers were interviewing other coaching candidates, and it was not a given that interim head coach Andrew Brunette would be returning to get the job on a full-time basis. Well, now we know through NHL insiders, Darren Dreger was the first to report this, that Paul Maurice is going to be the new head coach for the Florida Panthers. He's getting a 3-year term contract for that job. And Andrew Brunette, we're told through Frank Zaravalli of dailyfaceoff.com's reporting, and others too, that Brunette is going to be offered another significant role within the Panthers organization. No word yet exactly what the role is, or if indeed Brunette will accept or not. I mean, this is somewhat surprising given the fact that Andrew Brunette took over the head coaching role on an interim basis under very difficult circumstances when Joel Quenneville was removed from the position because of the whole Chicago connection, Kyle Beach incident, all that stuff that we saw a major reckoning in the NHL earlier this year with lots of people losing their jobs over it, rightfully so, mind you, but still with Quenneville being out unexpectedly, Brunette comes in, finishes the year because it was pretty early in the season. He had a record of 51-18-6. First place in the conference, first place in their division, first place in the entire NHL, a record-setting regular season in Florida Panthers history. They go on to win their first round against the Washington Capitals in the playoffs in 6 games. Wasn't an easy series by any means. At one point, a couple of points, it looked like they might lose in the first round, but they did find a way to come back and score their way out of their issues and win. Round 2, though, was a completely different story where they ran into state rival, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the 2-time defending Cup champions, and they got absolutely steamrolled in 4 straight. It was a sweep, and that's when I kind of thought maybe, just maybe, there was a chance that Brunette might be in trouble. It wasn't so much that they lost in round 2, it was how they lost, and obviously it just goes to show you how much Bill Zito, the GM and ownership of this Panthers team, expected the team to do better, and getting only to round 2 was just not acceptable with the group they've assembled there, the record-setting season, the last-minute additions they made at the deadline. Clearly, they had high expectations, and they were not met. And like I said, it's not even so much that they weren't met, because really, in my opinion, you could have had an argument here that Brunette's a rookie head coach. Obviously, you're going against the 2-time Cup champions. Could he have been outcoached by John Cooper? Absolutely, but he's a 2-time defending Cup champion with several more years of experience. So it's not even so much that. But the thing that got me the most in that series was, to me, it was almost like what I called, if you look back in videos, I called it the definition of insanity. When you do the same thing over and over again, but you expect a different result. Clearly, early on in Game 1, Game 2, things were not working. The Panthers could not connect. The power play dried up, and it just looked to me that they were not changing anything. The coach had no answers, no response, and just continued to roll the same lines, the same power play setup, like nothing was being adjusted. And that to me was a red flag. But at the same time, like I said, a rookie head coach took over in difficult circumstances. I thought this would be a great learning experience for him. Obviously, the ones who do the voting for the NHL awards thought he did a great job. He was a finalist for the Jack Adams Award. Second place, he lost to Daryl Sutter in Calgary. Nothing to be ashamed of there. But certainly, he was viewed to have done a really, really good job. Obviously, didn't win the Cup, but most other things went well. Paul Maurice comes in, of course. We know that the Panthers were interviewing several candidates, including, it was rumored to be an international candidate in there, which we talked about. Paul Maurice is a longtime NHL coach, tons of experience, got started at a very young age, way back when the Hartford Whalers were still in existence. Followed the team to Carolina, had multiple stints there, worked with Toronto. He's worked with Winnipeg most recently. He is 7th all-time in wins with 725, which is really solid record, but he also has the most losses because he's coached a long time, because he's got started at such a young age, and he's not, he's still a reasonably, not a very old man. He's got 681 losses. So, I really think Paul Maurice has evolved as a head coach, and I think it's fair to say that, if you take his whole career and you break it into, say, 2 halves, the second half to me is a lot more impressive, and I think it's fair to say he learned a lot in the early days, which he's then utilized, and is a way better coach now than he was in the first 8-10 years. But this is another example of a retread, the coaching carousel getting recycled here. But certainly this Panther team felt that Brunette made too many rookie mistakes, and they want more experience in there. So Maurice has tons of that. 1,685 career games behind the bench. Like I said, 775 wins, which is great, 7th all time, but he also has the most losses of 681, which is not something you want to be first place in. But he's brought teams to the conference finals a couple of times, never won a Stanley Cup. I know originally I was thinking he was the head coach in Carolina when they won the Cup in 2006, but he was not. He was already gone out of a job and gone to the Leafs organization, and it was Peter Laviolette that led them there. I know that was my first thought. I was like, doesn't Maurice have a cup? I'm like, no, he does not. So close a couple times, most recently to the conference final with the Winnipeg Jets a few years ago. Of course, he resigned in Winnipeg this past year, about halfway through, citing the fact that he felt the Jets needed a new voice, and that the message wasn't getting through, and he recognized that they both needed a change. He also said he kind of felt burnt out after all the pandemic restrictions and coaching for such a long stretch that he wanted a break. And he got his break for, 6-7 months or whatever it is, and now he's back at it in Florida. So be curious to see how everybody in Florida responds to this. I don't know what they're going to do with their roster. They certainly have some big-time UFAs. Are they going to bring back largely the same group? I mean, a lot of their core pieces are under contract, but they're rumored to be shopping Sergei Bobrovsky, which is not going to be easy to do. I understand why they're doing it. The previous regime signed that contract, which was not looking good at this point, hasn't for a long time. But will Claude Giroux be back? That's another big question mark. They made some other additions that you have to wonder will be back. Could there be some cap casualties there? Because they do have a lot of contracts. So very interesting situation evolving in Florida. What the role was offered to Brunette, we don't know. It could be to be the associate coach, which is like, second in line, so to speak. That could be it. I mean, maybe he'll continue to learn under an experienced guy and eventually take over again. I don't know. The other significant role could be something in management, because keep in mind, Andrew Brunette does have management experience. Before he came to Florida as an assistant coach, he had previously worked in the Minnesota Wild organization under its previous regime as an assistant general manager and director of player personnel. So there is, other experience he has that's very relevant. That could be something here, but is he going to want to? And I guess another question too, before we go, that we don't even know the answer to is, which I assume the answer is yes, but did Andrew Brunette want to be the full-time head coach? There was never any reports indicating that they were searching for somebody because he didn't want to do it. So I therefore think he most likely did. I mean, he being an assistant coach, you would think he probably had aspirations to eventually be a head coach, and maybe he didn't see it happening quite so quickly. You can't predict those circumstances, but at the same time, it's just different. It's hard to imagine, but that's something we haven't heard answered. But I would imagine he wanted to be, and he was left hanging a long time. So will he accept this role, or will he move on? Because I know there's been reports that if Andrew Brunette is out in Florida, there are other teams that would love to talk to him. He's a longtime NHL player and has garnered a good amount of experience in a variety of roles since then, and between coaching and management. So he could be a good fit elsewhere too. So I don't know if we've completely heard the rest of this story, but for right now, Paul Maurice on a 3-year term will be the new head coach for the Florida Panthers. Let me know your thoughts on the Panthers' decision down in the comments, and we'll discuss further. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with the latest news, rumors, and analysis on all 32 NHL teams. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.